Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you the next part of the turbulent love story between James and Deep. As many of you already know, these past few days James has been restless. CEO Hung, the close friend he treats like a brother, has gone missing during a business trip to Cambodia. Dozens of calls and messages have gone unanswered, leaving James not only worried but also weighed down by an uneasy feeling that seems to follow him everywhere. On top of that, James is also dealing with trouble within his own family. His father is still strongly opposed to the idea of adopting little Nee, even though she is a child James and Deep both love deeply and want to protect. Every time the subject comes up, the tension between father and son grows heavier, adding even more stress to the burden James is already carrying. So, where will all of this lead? Is CEO Hung safe? And how will James confront the storms brewing within his own family? Stay tuned and watch the full video to see how each detail unfolds. The next morning, James woke up with his mind spinning. He had barely slept at all. Every time he closed his eyes, the blurry image of Hung standing alone in a foreign land flashed through his mind, jolting him awake with his heart pounding. As soon as the first light broke through the sky, he splashed water on his face, threw on a jacket, and drove straight to meet Lee, the one person James trusted most when it came to safety and international legal matters. The road to Lee's office was still quiet in the early morning, but James felt suffocated, as if an invisible hand was gripping his chest tighter with every passing minute. He stepped into the office, pulled out a chair, and sat down, his hands still trembling slightly from fear and exhaustion. Without waiting for Lee to ask, James told him everything. Every detail. From the first day of lost contact, to the unanswered messages, to the calls that rang only a few times before cutting off, all the way to the last vague lead from their partner in Phnom Penh. The more he spoke, the hoarser his voice became, as though every word was scraping past the weight that had been crushing his chest for days. Lee listened in complete silence, fingers interlaced, eyes locked on James without wavering. That stare was sharp and focused, the kind of look someone has when they're piecing together fragments of information with absolute precision. It took a long moment before Lee finally leaned back, exhaled slowly, and said, "All right. I'll activate our communication channel with the Cambodian authorities immediately. We'll push for an investigation." James looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. But Lee continued, his voice lower now, carrying a clear warning. "Things over there haven't been stable lately. Scams, people being rounded up, illegal detentions, those cases have been rising fast, especially near the border zones. We can't assume this is just a normal case of lost contact anymore." Lee's words hit James like a bucket of ice water down his spine. He froze, fists tightening on his lap. Fear, confusion, frustration, they all tangled inside him, burning and helpless at the same time. Lee noticed. He stood up, walked around behind James, and placed a hand on his shoulder, firm, steady, reassuring. "Go home for now and wait for updates. I'll push the Cambodian side to move as fast as possible. And you, stay in touch with your old partners in Phnom Penh. They might be able to help." Lee's voice carried a calm certainty, as if he were trying to lend James a piece of his own stability. James took a deep breath and nodded. He knew he had no other choice right now except to place his trust in Lee. Just as he reached the door, Lee called out, his voice slower and tinged with the hesitation of someone who knew their words might hurt. "Oh, and for now, don't tell TUCA anything. She just gave birth. Her emotions are still fragile. If she finds out now, it could break her." James froze mid-step. He knew that was exactly what he feared. He understood his responsibility, but in that moment, his heart felt even heavier, as if another weight had been added onto the one already crushing him. James drove home in a daze, his mind looping over everything Lee had just told him. He kept trying to reassure himself that things would eventually fall into place, but the more he thought about it, the tighter his chest felt. A whole week without contact, in a place as chaotic as Cambodia. No one could pretend that was normal. The moment he pushed open the door, his phone rang, sharp, sudden, urgent enough to make him flinch. He glanced at the screen, TUCA. A flicker of hesitation crossed his face. His heart tightened instantly. He knew exactly what she would ask, and he had no idea how to answer her. He picked up the call. On the other end, her voice was small, uneven, the kind that belonged to someone trying desperately to suppress the anxiety that had been eating at her for days. "James, have you reached Hung yet? I've been calling him non-stop these last few days but, nothing. He's never been like this before." Every word she spoke cut into James' chest like a blade. He froze, lips pressed tightly together. For a moment, he almost told her everything. That he had also lost contact. That Lee had confirmed things over there were far from safe. That this whole situation might already be spiraling beyond control. But then the image of TUCA, fragile, exhausted, still recovering after childbirth, flashed in his mind. And Lee's warning echoed like a heavy reminder. "For now, don't let her know." James inhaled deeply, forcing his voice to stay steady. "I heard from an old contact. They said Hung is dealing with some issues over there, so he might not be back just yet. Maybe the network is unstable on his end. Don't worry too much." He lied. But it was the kind of lie someone tells when they're trying to shield a person who can't handle another blow. On the other side of the line, TUCA let out a small sigh. But even then, her voice still trembled, the trembling of someone who sensed something was wrong, yet tried to convince herself she was overthinking. "All right. I hope that's the case. I've been feeling so worried." James clenched his teeth and softened his tone. "It's okay. Just rest. Let me handle everything." When the call ended, silence fell over the house again, but inside James, there was nothing but a storm. He sank into a chair, pressing both hands against his forehead. TUCA was worried, and he understood why. But what he understood even more was that the truth might be far worse than anything either of them dared to admit. And no matter how hard he tried to push the fear down, that gnawing sense of dread only burrowed deeper into every breath he took. Barely given a moment to steady his heart after the call with TUCA, James had to head back to the company, where he was not only the founder, but also the one standing at the front line for hundreds of employees. Even though his mind was in turmoil because of Hung, responsibility forced him to keep himself upright. The moment he stepped into the meeting room, the department heads were already waiting. One junior staff member walked up to him, handing over a stack of documents while reporting. "Sir, the new contract with our partner has been approved. All the tasks you assigned last week have been completed on schedule." James nodded but didn't reply immediately. He took his usual seat, opened each file, and went through them carefully, line by line, number by number. Even with his mind stretched to the limit, his working style remained meticulous, organized, and precise, not overlooking a single detail. In the planning document, James reviewed each section. Splitting timber imports into multiple batches to reduce risks, avoiding overstock or border congestion. Preparing a reserve budget for purchasing new machinery, operating equipment, and even a refrigeration system for product storage. Monitoring the living conditions of all workers, ensuring the periodic salary increases were implemented exactly as he had instructed the previous month. When he reached the final section, he paused for a few seconds, then added, "Next week, give the workers a 3-day company trip, Anyone struggling financially, the company will cover all expenses. And if any family has someone seriously ill, report it to me so I can approve additional support from the welfare fund." No one in the room said a word, but the look in their eyes was full of respect. At a time when even an ordinary person would struggle just to keep their thoughts in order, James was still paying attention to the workers' lives down to the smallest detail. Even with his heart in chaos, from Hung's disappearance to his father's opposition to adopting little Nee, James still chose to work carefully, putting people above profit, just as he always had. The pressure on his shoulders kept piling up, but he refused to let himself slacken. Because he understood one thing clearly. If he were to collapse, this entire company would start to crumble with him. Late in the afternoon, the sky shifted into a soft golden hue, like a thin silk curtain being slowly pulled down by invisible hands. After a day torn between countless worries, Hung's disappearance, the quiet tension between his parents, and the weight of the company, James still drove to the small market where Deep earned her living each day. The familiar scene came into view, her stall of oranges, the sun-faded umbrella, the neatly stacked crates with only a few fruits left. Deep was bending down, gently wiping dust off each orange as if she were tending to her own child. Her hair clung to her forehead with faint traces of sweat, and her eyes remained soft as always. With just one glance, James felt his heart loosen. All the storms raging inside him quieted for a moment, as if simply seeing her standing there made everything suddenly easier to breathe. She had just finished packing up and hadn't even taken a sip of water when James approached. He didn't speak long, he just extended his hand, voice soft but firm. "Come with me for a bit." Deep blinked, surprised, not sure what was happening, but then she smiled and nodded, following him the way her heart had long decided, wherever James went, she would go too. James took her to the hill behind the village, the place they sometimes escaped to when life felt too loud. It wasn't a high hill, but from here, they could see the entire countryside, fields of rice, winding village roads, and a small river glimmering with the golden reflection of the setting sun. Twilight settled in, and the wind brushed through the wild grass, making it sway like waves. The scent of oranges clung faintly to Deep's clothes, blending with the warm smell of earth after a long summer day, a scent so gentle it made one want to breathe deeply just to remember it forever. The silence was so complete that James could hear his own heartbeat, not from fear, but from what he was about to say. He turned toward her and took her hand. Her fingers were cold from the breeze, yet somehow they gave him the courage he needed. "I've proposed to you twice already," James began, voice slow and careful, as if afraid a single rushed word would break the fragility of the moment. But both times were cut short. Once because life got in the way, and once because you were still afraid. But now, when things are finally settling, I don't want to lose you ever again." Deep looked up at him, her eyes trembling gently like water touched by wind. James reached into his jacket and took out a small box. He had carried it with him for weeks, keeping it near his heart, a reminder of the one thing he still hadn't done. He opened it. Inside was a pair of simple, elegant rings, nothing extravagant, but enough to say everything. It wasn't a grand proposal with roses or fireworks. No diamond spotlights, no flashing cameras. Just two people, standing in the glow of a countryside sunset, where the truest things always remained. Deep lifted her hand to her lips, slightly trembling. Her eyes welled up, not with fear, but with trust, with the quiet maturity that came after all her hesitations. "I'm ready now, James. Those times before, I was scared I wasn't enough, scared I couldn't bring you happiness. But not anymore." James laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that came out tight, choked by emotions crowding in his chest. "I was just afraid, if I waited any longer, we'd miss each other again." Deep squeezed his hand gently, her voice like a promise. Even if you waited a few more years to propose, I would still say yes. I chose you long ago, James. And I'm not leaving you. The evening wind lifted the hem of her shirt, carrying the soft scent of oranges. The last rays of sunlight draped over them in a thin golden veil, as if trying to hold on to this moment a little longer. There were no loud promises. No dramatic yes. Just two hearts, after all the uncertainty, understanding that no matter how stormy life became, their faith in each other would always remain the one thing that never changed. Will Officer Lee be able to uncover any clues amid the chaos in Cambodia? The calls, the scattered bits of data, will they be enough to piece together the path CEO Hung walked before he vanished? And what about the growing rift between James and his father, the silent crack widening day by day? On one side is a father's love and fear for his family. And on the other is James's unwavering belief in the woman he loves and the child he wants to protect. Between them, who will be the one to take the first step? And James and Deep. After all the storms, the trials, the missed chances and the reunions, are they truly ready to step into a new chapter of their lives? A chapter with no unfinished pages, no lingering fear, and only trust? All the answers are still ahead of them. Stay tuned for the next episode to see the latest developments. And don't forget to leave a comment and share your predictions about what will happen next.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Cảm ơn mọi người vì mọi người đã theo dõi đến cuối video hôm nay. Hiện tại thì mình vẫn đang trong quá trình edit và hoàn thiện video. Bây giờ thì mình vẫn đang trong quá trình làm đấy mọi người ơi. Và sau khi làm xong thì mình sẽ đăng tải lên. Và những video hôm nay thì mình sẽ đăng tải vào lúc 7 giờ sáng theo giờ Việt Nam. Có thể ở bên mọi người 7 giờ sáng thì nó sẽ rơi vào khoảng cỡ 7-8 giờ tối, 6-7 giờ tối gì đó. Mà mình hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ ủng hộ cho kênh mình nhiều hơn nữa. Và nếu như mọi người có ý kiến đóng góp gì, mong rằng là mọi người cũng sẽ đóng góp ý kiến để kênh mình ngày càng hoàn thiện hơn. Bây giờ thì mình đang xuất video ra. Cảm ơn mọi người rất là nhiều. Tạm biệt mọi người. Hẹn gặp lại trong video sau. Bye bye.